Welcome to the North Cascades Bluegrass Festival, streaming with the pros. Thanks for joining us today. The North Cascades Bluegrass Festival, for those that you are not aware, is held over Labor Day weekend with camping from Tuesday before to Tuesday after. Today, we are joined by Rebekah Speer, one of our artists. So let's get started. Welcome, Rebekah. How are you?
Hey, David. How's it going? I'm all right.
Good. Hope things are going well for you.
They're going just splendidly.
Splendidly. Well, Rebekah, let's start off by having you share how you came into bluegrass and gospel.
Oh, I came into bluegrass a long time ago, and gospel music, and we would say it down here as bluegrass gospel. I grew up in a little town called Lincolnton, Georgia, and that's the home of the Lewis family and Jeff and Sherry Easter. And Sherry is Little Roy's niece, Polly's daughter. And so, for those of you who know Jeff and Sherry Easter, they're part of the Gaither crowd, Gaither Gospel Series, and Gaither Homecoming Friends, and so is the Lewis family. And so, the Lewis family is the first family of bluegrass gospel music, and I would say I've been in the business a minute or two.
I bet you have. So is Jeff Easter the one that wrote "Like Father, Like Son"?
I think so. Yes. His daddy wrote "Got a Roof Above My." I can't think of the name of it. COVID brain. Yay.
That's okay.
Y'all know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's a great song. I wanted to do with my dad. My dad is a dobro player. He's 91. And I wanted to do that with him on stage sometime, but it's really hard for us because as we start singing those tunes, one of us will break down in tears and not be able to keep singing.
Yeah. So, thank you, Lord, for your blessings on me. That's what your daddy wrote. That's the big one. So. Okay.
Great. So, Rebekah, what are some of the current projects you're working on?
Man, what am I not working on these days? I'm still working on my bluegrass gospel project. It's a throw off variety thing that I'm doing. And my husband, late husband, was Ben Speer of the Speer family, and my education in Southern gospel music really came from them, and what I know as gospel music, Southern gospel music, came from them. And so the album is focusing on their like big hits or my favorite songs that they did, or and even some other songs. But the Lewis family also cut too, and so it's all this one big circle of things. And then I've got some other stuff I'm not allowed to talk about yet, but there's some other great things happening in the background, and lots of good things happening.
Now it's a challenge to try to figure out what that is through our interview today.
Oh, I know. Don't you just want to know? Don't you want to know? You will know. It will become news for long, so everybody will know.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but back in May, I believe you released the Old Fashioned Meeting single on Turnberry Records.
I did.
How well do you think this song has been received?
I think it's going well. I just got an email update this morning that it's number 12 on SGN Scoops. So that's nice. And my latest single is the Old Gospel Ship, which is going to be public August 26th. The public will be able to buy that single on August 26th on all digital platforms. So
just before the festival.
Just before the festival. I'm sorry I don't have the record done yet, because that's how life works. I had big plans to have it ready for you guys, but I'm foiled once again. But I do have 3 singles available for sale on digital platforms from that album.
Oh, good.
Available.
So speaking of Turnberry Records, I understand that you've done some promotional work for Turnberry. Tell us about like what you do and what you believe is the biggest challenging in promotion.
Everything. No, people. No, I'm kidding. Once COVID happened, my whole life turned upside down, like every other musician's life. And I started working. I had to get a job at Home Depot for 3 months. And Keith Barnacastle, the owner of Turnberry Records, came and rescued me. He had already been on me about joining him, and doing stuff. And I was a little hesitant, not for any other particular reason than I just wanted to be an artist solely, and I didn't want to get this, into the other side of the glass again. Too much, because I wanted to focus. And I find when all that came down, Keith called me again, and I was like, look, if you can give me this much, I'm all yours. And so he said, okay. And so now I'm the creative director for the Bluegrass Standard magazine, and I don't know what you would call me exactly for Turnberry Records, but I do a lot of stuff for Turnberry Records, and it as with every record label, which I've worked for quite a few now, it has its up and down moments. So if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to get in trouble right now. But if I'm honest, baby artists are the hardest ones to work with. They are hard. They are.
Well, it makes sense though, right? Because the experience level is not there, and
it's not. And they bless their hearts. They think they know. I'm not scared to say it. What y'all gonna do to me? So, but they bless their hearts. I know they want the best for themselves and think they know, but they don't know. And you just have to kind of try and gently. And I am not a gentle person. If anybody knows me, I'm not the most couth or most diplomatic person. I'm going to tell you just how it is. And a lot of people get their feelings hurt by that. And it's nothing personal. It's just, this is how it's done. So
I like that. I like being straight. It saves a lot of time. And
it does. But baby artists, it takes a few years for people to realize that straight and forward is the fastest way.
Yeah.
So
I was going to ask you, do you have another job besides touring musician? But it sounds like
those are my other jobs. Yeah. And then I do a lot of video editing, and I'm sitting in my studio right now. I do, studio work. I have a degree in that. So, I mean, in all facets of music, I'm on one side of the glass or the other. I'm shooting pictures. I'm doing graphic design, I wear many hats, almost all the hats there are to have in music. So,
fascinating.
Yeah.
I'm sure your fans are curious about what you do when you're not working or performing as a musician. So maybe you could just take a few moments to share some insight on your life outside of Rebekah, the performer or worker.
When I have a moment, and a lot of folks that follow me, because I share my life on Facebook for everyone for the most part. I have recently exploited my gaming habit on Facebook. So I will go live on Facebook and have friends follow me while I'm gaming. And then my other big hobby, my favorite, is fishing. I'm an avid fisherwoman. I love to fish. I am no good at it, but I try my dangest. And I'm a big boater. Perhaps it's best to say I'm a boater, and I love the river. So I do that, and I do love to hunt, which is most folks know that too. So I do.
Actually, that's one of my questions, and I seem to remember something about a time of you receiving a deer jerky.
I received one deer. No, I'm kidding. One deer jerky.
Some deer jerky. Sorry.
Yeah, I got deer jerky. No, I love it. It's like people saying, "You got a grit? What's one taste like?" I'm like, they taste great.
Speaking of grits, I was at IBMA, and there at the Marriott, there was a chef there that created some shrimp and grits with barbecue.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It
was fantastic. And
yeah.
We hunted him down, and he actually gave me the recipe with the right brands and everything.
There you go.
Some of the stuff, because it's back east, but I've tried it at home. Oh, delicious. And it's a heart attack waiting to happen on top of it.
It is, always. That's why the southern states are suffering. Because we know how to cook with lard.
Yeah, lard is awesome.
It is.
Rebekah, what do you feel is the best song that you've ever written, and why?
The best song I've ever written? Well, I've done a lot of co-writing with Donna Ulysses, who most of you know is the bluegrass IBMA Songwriter of the Year, and I would say my for me my best song was probably "I've Seen the Light," because I actually pretty much wrote the gist of that. Donna added a verse to it, but didn't really. That's the one song that she had not gone into and like turned over on its head, like the what's there is pretty much I wrote. I've not been able to pull it off again. She tears everything I send over to her over and fixes it. But I've Seen the Light, and I would say that also because it is about my late husband Ben and us falling in love. And Little Roy's wife, when I first got with Ben, or maybe right before we got with Ben, had Lizzie, my twin sister, and I sit down, and she goes, "Now, girls, look here. Y'all got to be careful when you're talking to boys and men, or, whatever." At that time, we were probably like 19, 20 years old, and said, because you just never know when your love light might shine. So that always stuck with me. And so I ended up, writing the song, I've Seen the Light.
That's awesome.
Because you never know when your love light might shine.
It's great to understand the backstory of songs.
Yeah.
And that's a great one. How meaningful and endearing that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So take a little bit different track. If you hadn't become an accomplished musician, what do you think you'd be doing right now? And I think I know that answer from talking to you, but I'll see if I'm correct after you say.
If music was not any part of it, most folks know also, Lord help. I did do some carpentry stuff for a while, but I did that for about 3 years. I broke my back, and I have no intentions of going back. I did that for a while. But if music was not a thing, I probably would have ended up back home in Lincoln. As I got my family farm, L&L Long and Long, which was my daddy and my granddaddy. And they had a logging business, and I grew up pumping septic tanks, y'all. So there was a septic tank. My daddy runs a septic tank.
That's kind of a crappy job, huh?
It is. I have. But let me tell you something now. There's some money to be had in.
Yeah.
But I've been covered head to toe in just about every kind of fecal matter you can imagine. So it's not a great thing. And I used to have a pretty strong stomach, but as I've had some live videos, as folks know, I smell it now, and I do not have a.
I'm glad we can flesh these things out on live.
Yeah.
Interview.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm just get it off my chest.
No sense stooling about it any longer.
Yeah. You can be the Dr. Phil of bluegrass.
No thanks. Mr. Clean, right?
Yeah.
So as a performer, you travel quite a bit. And so why don't you share with us, without mentioning names, of course, unless it's your twin sister you want to.
Take all the fun out.
What's the worst experience you've had on the road?
Worst experience. Worst experience. It probably doesn't involve anybody per se personally, but I think the worst experience I have is my gallbladder died on me. And I suffered with that for 10 years. And I think as a collective, the worst experience is having that. I remember even as far back as performing with Mountain Fury and having to go on stage and just have an immense migraine. I mean, terrible migraine, and try to sing and play in the heat. And I remember one time in Etowah, Tennessee, we were on the bus with Earl was with us, and we were on the bus with Richard Richard Wilson. And boy, I had just woke up, and bless it, I don't know what we ate or what was happening, but I just was sick as a dog, and then had to go on stage. And the highlight, that's the bad part, but the highlight at the time, I got to go on stage and play You Can't Stop Me From Dreaming with Earl, the bass slapping thing with Earl on banjo. So at Etowah, which is the Cousin Jake Festival. So that was cool. And I see over here in our streaming chat, Keith Barnacastle says, eating those Inferno chips from Troy Pope. The worst experience I've ever had is eating that black nacho chip from Troy Pope at the Cherokee Festival. My mouth was on fire for hours, and I was running sound. Yeah. Wow. So that, I think, being the gallbladder thing really made my life, crazy. It made it really hard to be on the road, but I did it. So.
Good for you.
Didn't even know that's what it was, but that's.
Yeah, but good you found out though, right? Yeah. Yeah. So if you had a choice of collaborating with another musician that's not part of your group, who would it be?
Any musician?
You get your choice. Doesn't matter if it's bluegrass, rock and roll, heavy metal. I don't care.
Bucket list would definitely a Bonnie Raitt, Bette Midler, or Dolly Parton.
Oh, that's awesome.
Those
that's three biggies right there.
I don't know how it would work, but yeah, I'm sure something would happen.
and it would be that would be some great harmony too if you guys got a song together.
Oh, I know. Singing. I love Bonnie Raitt. I love all their voices, and I just, that would be a miracle in the wings there. Yeah.
So many folks may not know the challenges in actual touring. Mm-hmm. Not just going to a gig, but an actual tour. I seem to remember something. with the tour, can you take a moment to share about the challenges that you face when you are touring? And I imagine it's
Yeah.
the same with most musicians, and I heard it can be kind of brutal.
It can be, like, for instance, being sick and not being able to do anything about it or know what's going on. That's really tough, going on stage, being sick and trying to put on a performance and show. The other aspects of touring that's hard is when you have best friends or folks die. I was not able to attend my best in 2009, September, November. My best friend Gavin was killed in a motorcycle accident, and I wasn't able to attend the funeral because I had a show, and that's just a matter of ethics and sticking to those ethics. And then also, my late husband Ben died, and then a month later I had a show in Lincoln, and they called and gave me the grace of stepping out. But again, Ben instilled in me and the Lewis family what work ethics, and you show up and you do your job. You agreed to it, you do it. And so death is a hard thing to get around. You miss a lot of birthdays, weddings, and personal events, family events. Graduations have been missed. I've not attended. And you're not home on the weekends when folks are getting together normally. And so those are some aspects of touring that are hard, that people, there's sacrifices to be made. And that's part of those. So you don't get to really, I mean, there are some exceptions with the death part, you can back out, but it's even a month out, the grief is still, it was very hard for me to perform on stage and sing the songs that I had just written about my husband on stage without crying and doing, it's very, very taxing. So
sometimes while we're doing these interviews, we get some questions from folks, and they'll either come over the chat or they'll come through a text. And the co-founder of the North Cascades Bluegrass Festival is Mr. Daniel Tepper. He's also the president of Whatcom Parks and Recreation Foundation. And he asked me to ask you about playing with Earl Scruggs.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I just mentioned Earl, playing with Earl at the Etowah Festival, but him and Lizzie did a record together, Lewis, Scruggs, and Long. And Earl would travel with us, and come to Lincoln with us and hang out with us. And it was a ball. Earl was a one-of-a-kind person. And something I could say about Earl was that he loved all music. I was in school at the time for sound recording, and we had to use samples and stuff, to build, because some of it covered, the rap side of things, that genre, and samples is a big major part of that world in rock and roll and country. Samples is a big thing. So I took Earl's Foggy Mountain Breakdown and put a techno beat behind it with this African choir in the beginning going, all this crazy stuff. And Earl was riding back home to Lincoln with me. It was going to be me and him for like 6 hours. And I knew this. And so I was like, well, I'll create this and then just play it. I'll just start it. And, we were in the car and we got around the mountain down there in Chattanooga. It left me. COVID brain, y'all. It can't remember nothing. We got down around the mountain down there, and I put the disc in, millennials, back when there were CDs. Y'all don't even know about that. And it started out, I'd asked Earl before I started. I said, Earl, do you remember you and Lester doing something with this African choir that started out and then y'all broke down into Foggy? He was like, no, I don't remember nothing. I was like, well, listen to this. And I started it, and I let it play for like 30 seconds or a minute, and I cut it off. And Earl said, no, let it play. Let it keep playing. And that surprised me that he wanted to keep hearing. He wanted to hear it out. So
that's awesome.
That was pretty cool. And then Earl did a lot of stuff early on. Everybody, I think one of my pet peeves in bluegrass are traditionalists. Not in the sense that, I respect tradition. I do. I respect it. But they'll always say, you got to play it like Earl played it. You got to do it like Earl played it. And I was like, Earl didn't play it like nobody played it. And Earl was a big advocate about new stuff or inventing stuff and doing different things. And that's why, there was an Earl Scruggs review and they did all that stuff with his boys. Earl was an innovator. That's what people traditionalists forget is that Earl and Bill Monroe was an innovator. They came up with the style. They didn't, if we as artists stick to what tradition is and doing it just like Earl, then you're not being like Earl is the thing. So, get out there and do different things and create different things. And Earl was a great supporter in that. So I like a variety of things. And that was one thing that I remember. I remember rehearsing one day with Lizzie. She wasn't into it with me that day, or what? She was never really into rehearsing with me ever. But Lizzie, and she put her guitar down and left the room, and Earl picked up the banjo and said, "Do it again. I want to hear what you were doing." He wanted to, he was invested in, oh, she's doing something different. There's something different there to be heard. And he gave, that. So I had a lot of respect for Earl in that regard. In every regard, I had respect for Earl, but that one really stuck out to me, that I think people get lost that he was an innovator and inventor of his own right.
One of the things that we try to do in the interview is to provide information that a lot of people don't know. And I think you've provided some enlightenment about Earl and his heart and what he had to do. So for one, I appreciate that, because I never knew that for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you. So most of us really enjoy great bluegrass music. And you're included in that statement, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
Who do you like to listen to, and what are a few of your favorite songs?
Anything or bluegrass?
It can be anything. I just brought up bluegrass because that's the genre of our festival. But last interview, we had a gentleman who used to play heavy metal, right? So
okay, yeah. My dad used to joke, because growing up, I liked rock and roll, and Lizzie was into bluegrass. And at the time, we were probably 10 or 12, and I used to kind of, don't take this wrong, I did like the Lewis family music, but peer pressure made me go like. Snub my nose at it. What are you doing, Lizzie? And I was focused on rock and roll at the time. But favorite music, I listen to a lot of stuff, different stuff, because I can have Bette Midler on, jump to Fleetwood Mac, and then go to Pavarotti in the same 15-minute period. But I was a massive fan, and anybody who knows me knows I was a massive fan of Bette Midler in all regards. And everybody thinks, "Oh, you listen to Wind Beneath My Wings." There's so much more to Bette Midler than just Wind Beneath My Wings and From a Distance. Her 70s stuff. I love the 70s sound, the riffs, and Motown. I love Motown.
Oh, me
and
too.
So as a genre, any of those bass riffs, I love that stuff. I love it. I love James Jamerson, Aretha Franklin. Love me some Aretha Franklin. Somehow I'm going to work them songs into bluegrass. I haven't quite figured it out yet, but it's going to happen, folks. It's coming. It's going to happen.
We'll enjoy hearing it for sure.
Yeah, it's going to happen. So big Motown fan.
I get a lot of bantering going back and forth, because my main instrument, I play upright bass and bluegrass, and my main instrument is saxophone. So
there you go.
I play jazz.
Wrong with that.
No, I play jazz and pop and rock and everything, and I actually will take my saxophone to bluegrass festivals. And
have you heard the jazz, the saxophone player that plays
on the tenor?
I think so. Yeah, he takes the bluegrass songs and plays it on the But look, I fought real hard. I did Honky Cat. Donna gave me Honky Cat from Elton John, and I begged to put Barry saxophone on it, but she wouldn't let me. She wouldn't let me. Bad. Purist.
Well, it's time to move to the Dirty Dozen Rapid Fire segment of our show. And
don't get your feelings hurt. I'm gonna just say it like it is.
I already told you I like it that way best, right?
All right.
I got thick skin. So this is meant to be lighthearted.
Okay.
And the rules are basically you have to answer as best you can within 5 seconds if possible. Are you ready?
Sure.
All right, here we go. What are your favorite hot and cold drinks?
Hot tea, black Irish tea. Cold, probably Diet Coke, Diet Dr. Pepper.
Okay. You are one of two twins. Which one was born first, and do either of you lord it over the other one in good fun?
I was born first, and I wouldn't say we lorded over each other, but we are definitely super competitive, as anybody knows.
What's your favorite food?
Ooh, Ooh, Donna tries to make it out to be ramen noodles and hot Cheetos, but favorite food? Edamame with salt. I'm big on that right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you could be any fruit, what would it be?
Watermelon.
So why not a Georgia peach?
I like peaches. Peaches are good, but you said fast, so watermelon came first.
Who's the most famous person you've ever met?
Most famous. Oh, that's a hard. Bonnie Raitt, Tom T, Dixie. Bonnie Raitt, Tom T, Dixie. Most famous. There's more. Brandy Carlisle's probably really famous. Gatlin Brothers. I worked top good. 40. That's really hard.
I know that.
I don't know.
I know. That's the whole idea of these questions.
Yeah.
Okay. If cost was not an issue and you could buy any guitar, what would it be?
Probably a really old Southern Jumbo Gibson or a old D18 Martin, one or the other.
All right. Do you ever perform as a solo act?
Yes. Keith. I was supposed to do 5 songs, ended up doing 3 hours in Mississippi.
Oh, wow. So what's your favorite key to sing in?
My favorite what?
Your favorite key to sing in.
Oh, my favorite key. Probably around A. I sit around A a lot.
Okay. And what kind of vehicle do you drive?
Right now I drive a Ford F-150 2018 Lariat. The lowest package.
I have a Ford F-150 too, XLT.
There you go. They're great. I'm just saying,
I just got the one that's a hybrid, right?
There you go.
It's got 500 some pounds of torque. Be great up in the hills, by the way, hunting.
I like the electric thing.
It's gas and electric. It's not the Lightning. It's the hybrid. So you got a 3.5 liter power burst.
You got rich blood.
Okay, this is not about being rich. I'm not rich. I'm rich in character.
There you go. There you go.
Okay, who's your favorite actor?
Anthony Hopkins.
What's your favorite movie?
Favorite movie. Oh, probably this is gonna be weird. Probably Hannibal or Silence of the Lambs. Hannibal.
Okay.
I know that's Hearts of Atlantis. It's Anthony Hopkins. So, I mean, it's just
Okay.
I don't watch TV much.
If you're not based out of your current location, is there a secondary place you might want to live?
Somewhere on the beach. Anywhere near the beach.
All right.
With a big old boat.
And what's your favorite venue to play and why?
Favorite venue to play? Well, I won't narrow it down to any particular place, but I will say I love soft seat theaters. I love playing in soft seat theaters. Those are great.
Great.
Soft seat because I've broken my tailbone.
Well, you had some things happen to you, huh? Boy,
I've lived. Awesome. Trust me when I say I've lived 5 lifetimes. It's crazy.
Well, Rebekah, we are really thrilled to have you join us on our festival this year. We're looking forward to seeing you next week, and can hardly wait. I hope you enjoy our festival, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time today to interview with us. I have one last question for you before we close. If you had only one message to provide to our fan base and those listening today, what would that message be?
Have fun, live life to the fullest, and don't be judgmental. Give everything a chance. That's
awesome.
What I'd say.
Well, thank you again. Before you go, I'm going to just say a few words about the festival. So the North Cascades Bluegrass Festival is in its 7th year if you count COVID years. If you don't count COVID, which we didn't do for 2 years, then that's 5 years. We're located in Bellingham, Washington, and it's called the North Cascades Bluegrass Festival. You can find us at NCBF, which is an acronym, .fun, not .com or .org. It's ncbf.fun. And we're known for our workshops. Rebekah's actually doing one as well. And go out. You can listen to different genres of music there out on our webpage for each one of our performers. And we have camping on the Tuesday before to the Tuesday after. And the actual festival days are September 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We've got craft vendors, food vendors, and Saturday night is going to be our pro jam, which is going to be very cool. Right after Rebekah's set, we'll pop into it. And this is put together for the pros to be able to jam with other pros because everybody's on the road and touring quite a bit. So already gotten some great feedback about, I want to play with Cody Norris, or I want to play with somebody with other pros saying that. So we're really looking forward to that. And if everything goes right, we're going to have gourmet hot dogs available for purchase there as well. So check us out. We've got full camping, dry camping, huge 5 baseball fields that size. And then we have power and water hookup as well. So if you can make it, we'll see you there. Yes, Rebekah.
I'm allergic to pork. Can somebody bring turkey dogs?
We'll see what we can do.
Okay.
All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Stay tuned for more interviews right here on our Facebook page. And Rebekah, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you, David.
Bye-bye.